Hello, I am Centimus Prime, and here I will be reviewing the LEGO Creator set number 31159, Surprising Spider. Ooh. Yeah. Okay, enough of that. Alright, let's take a look at the set itself. So, like usual, I'm basically just going to make three separate videos for each of these builds. So let's take a look at the main one. Why not? The spider. The very interesting looking spider out. Like this is fascinating. So here's a spider. I well for first thing I actually like really I actually do like the color scheme. For one thing, the color scheme looks very nice, very appealing to me. Like you got a lot. It's a it's a nice base color for black with a lot of red and with a lot of like stripes of red and this very bright neon greenish yellow color. Basically like a high visibility vest kind of color. Gives a very very venomous, poisonous venomous look. It's poisonous and it's venomous, and there is a difference. Yeah, so like, just color scheme alone is fascinating. You get like for the abdomen area, you got like the nice stripe of that bright color. You got like a patch of that bright color here, and also like everywhere on the legs. Yeah, very nice. So the silhouette looks really nice too. You get like this, you get like a traditional kind of look for like it's a small body. You get like the fangs here. You got like the eight long scrawny legs, and then like the huge abdomen, like thorax abdomen area. Yeah, so very fancy. Oh, and of course, here's a look at the underside. Lots of anti-studs. You got like a boat piece down here. And also under the abdomen, you get an extra little pop of color while also having a Technic gear knob. And we'll show what that's for later. But next up here, we have articulation to talk about because this spider has a very fascinating, has a dare I say surprising amount of articulation. I'm sorry for that. So obviously for the legs. So starting off with the legs. So each of the legs is on one of these Among Us hinge joints. So you get left and right movement as well as hinging up and down movement, and you get that for every single leg. Yeah, like the hinge movement, you got a hinge here and a hinge here. So you got 1, 2, 3, like 4 points of articulation for each and every leg. So you get like a crazy amount of articulation with the legs, which is very nice. But it's not just to the legs that's articulated. You have the fang portions, which are each on their own hinge and Among Us like swivel joint. So you can like like have the abdomen have like the fangs like splayed out, so like that, or just have them together like this, and then yeah, it can just move up and down. Look at that. And then the eyes look nice. And for the abdomen, you have the ratcheting it's doubled up on the ratcheting joints, but they did add a couple pieces to restrict the articulation a bit. So you only really get one click of movement with the abdomen area. And so it can either be like this, where it's like slightly downward, or up like this, or where it's on like taking like a more aggressive like a stance, trying to intimidate. Which is nice. Like it, so you do get like a really good amount of articulation in this little spider, despite not having any ball joints in here at all. It's interesting. And then for the abdomen area, and then for how it's built, the legs are all built identically. Like the head area, like with the all the eyes and stuff, looks very nice. Like looks very good. It's basically just built off of one of these snot, like multi-use snot bricks. It's just attached to one of these pieces with like the extra stud connections up here. So basically just attached like that, and it's simple but effective. It works for me. And then for the abdomen, which is like the most complex portion of this build, you get like some layering. You got some brackets. You got a little bit, barely any bit of technique with the knob here, but the knob is there for a reason, and that reason is to pull out on this. So here is like the main like so here's like the main gimmick of the spider. So you can dangle it around, you can articulate it around, very nice. But you also have a string with a stud connection on one end, and on the other end attached to the inside of the abdomen area. So you can basically just dangle it wherever. And then the string itself is colored is around the same color as the neon parts here, so it's like this bright neon highlighter color, like yellowish green, like greenish yellow. Yeah, so you can basically just dangle it around. You basically just have it on your arm. Very nice. Look at that. That's a cute spider. Woo, woo, woo. I probably should probably should like give a fair warning that it's definitely a spider kind of thing, and people can be very surprised and scared of these spiders and afraid of these spiders, which is I just like how this one's built. This one's built nicely, and if you want to move if you don't need the string out and about, that's when this Technic knob comes in, because when you turn it, the string basically winds back in. It's like a winch kind of thing. Now, the knob itself, it's not really, it's kind of loose in there. So yeah, you can just easily just pull it out, and there's really no friction like holding the string in place. It's basically just held in just because. Something else I do find fascinating is the way they weaved the string through uh, through these pit like one by one like studded piece, rounded studded piece, because when you line two of these up together, you have a large enough gap to weave a string through. And I find this quite fascinating because I remember a build. There was like an old like Lego build that I made like a really long time ago. I sure I have like no pictures of it or anything, but like I used to make like this uh Lego castle kind of thing where, and then my main method of attaching of like and my main method for building the drawbridge for it was basically something along the lines of this here, where I would attach one end to the door drawbridge itself, and then I would weave the string through uh, assemblies I've made that are very reminiscent of this, basically just like this, where I have like took like string, weaved it through these pieces, and then when I pulled the strings from the back, the drawbridge would go up. I'm sure I don't have any pictures of it anymore. Don't have any. I don't recall any pictures of this build, but definitely reminds me of that. And it is quite a fascinating thing. And I do. And a little side note, I also do like how they tiled up the abdomen area. You use like the Nexonite like tile piece. You use like wedge pieces to add more like dynamic like shaping to it. You got like some curve. You got like some curve and stuff to add a more rounded look. It's very fascinating. I like it. And then yeah, you can just pose, and yeah, you could just pose it around however you like. And because there's so many of these legs on these little hinges, if you look at that, if I have these articulated have these in a certain orientation, look at that. Look at that. Yeah, like it and surprisingly, surprisingly, the spider legs can hold up the weight of the entire spider, which is very nice. Very nice. Very good for posing. Very good for posing that the spider can adjust can that the spider legs while being very articulated, and it can also hold up the weight of the entire build, which is very nice. I appreciate that. Which is, yeah, I found it surprising because when like articulating each of these legs like on their own is like definitely not no definitely nowhere near enough to like hold up the weight of the entire build. But yeah, but you have a bunch of these weak little legs. Yeah, you have a bunch of these weak little legs, are, which yeah, like a little bit, yeah, a little bit adds up uh, to uh, a built to a system like to a structure strong enough to hold the entire thing, which is decent. I like that. I guess that's why spiders have 8 legs. And also, side note, yes, 8 legs. Legos are often done stuff like where they've made like very stylized kind of spiders, which only have like 6 legs. Well, it didn't always do that, but there would be like a surprising amount of times where they would just have like a character that's like a build or vehicle or character or whatever, which is definitely depicted as a spider, but only has 6 legs. I'm just glad they managed to to put in all 8 legs for this build, and it's a very nice one. I like it. It's very neat, very cute. It it has like it also has like a good amount. Also has like a great amount of articulation and a fun little uh function, a fun little feature to it, which is very nice. I appreciate that. So definitely a good one. I definitely find this to be a good one. Yeah, this build was, and yeah, it was also fun to put together. Obviously, it was a little. Honestly, it was a little bit repetitive with the legs. Yeah, like you have 8 legs that are built identically, so of course it's going to be a little bit of repetition there. But aside from that, like I enjoyed the build for it. The articulation is really nice. Looks looks great, and also has a fun little function to it for like playability like factor to it. And we're not even like looking at the other builds until like later. So honestly, for the spider portion alone, like easily worth its money, I think. And yeah, this is one. Yeah, and I'm sure like the other builds would be really nice too. But I do very much like this spider. It's very nice. I like it. And with that, I think that'll be it for this review. If you enjoyed this video, consider to like and subscribe and maybe even comment if you want. And of course, I will be posting again sooner or later.